Hello, my dear friends. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. My name is Sarita. So glad to see you today. I have a single candle today from Kringle, and the candle in question is Sage and Palo Santo. And I have a 3-wick, which was one of the painted ones, and it looks like this. But in the regular kind of modern tumblers, Sage and Palo Santo looks like this, which I've made the thumbnail of the video as well. It's a fine label. It's not necessarily evocative or arresting, but it's nice if a little bit literal. This I don't love, although I do kind of like the colors. I think it was right to go with kind of an earthy green. This was the design of the, what was it? It was the bonfire-ish candle from last fall. The, what was the wood candle? Oud and something or other. Honestly, I can't remember. It was not good. Spoiler alert, this one is not great either. So I have made no secret of the fact that I don't love their painted 3-wicks for a whole host of reasons. First of all, I don't love the fact that the only way you can get good strength and throw from Kringle now is to get it in a 3-wick variety. I really kind of like the 2-wick. I like 2-wick across the board, frankly. And I don't understand why in the year of our Lord, 2024, we can't get candles that can scent your house with 2 wicks. I don't understand it. And I think that it's a huge coup for companies that can get great strength and throw from 2 wicks. Unfortunately, now many companies are having to resort to 3 or 4 or 5, or God knows when, you know, this is gonna end. Are we gonna end up with 17 wicks? Like, I don't know. So generally speaking, I don't love the fact that now we kind of have to buy these 3 wicks from Kringle, and they are just very Bath & Body Works like size-ish. And I get it, like Bath & Body Works has done a really great job being very consistent with their vessel for decades now. And it's a good vessel size to diameter to wick kind of ratio. So I kind of understand why companies are now resorting to this, but I am a little resentful of it, especially with Kringle, because I do love their apothecary style, like their country one. And I also like their modern tumbler, and I think that there's something unique about those 2 silhouettes. So I don't love the fact that it looks like now, if we want strength and throw, we're gonna have to go to this shape. Shape aside, there has been a lot of like pomp and circumstance about these painted designer 3-wicks. But for my money, they always kind of look a little cheap. And I don't know if you can tell, but they have been painted on by like a computer printer. So there are streaks and lines sometimes from where it's been printed. There are little white strips too from where it's been printed on. So it's not exactly like it's been hand painted by an artisan craftsman or something like that. And somebody told me that it's actually less expensive doing this than doing wraparounds. And most of Bath & Body Works' wraparounds look a lot more expensive and thoughtful than this. So that's that's not a surprise to me. Also, when you've got companies like Goose Creek really stepping it up, Kent from Candle Channel, who obviously has a very Bath & Body Works aesthetic and vibe, has been working with Goose Creek to improve the look of their 3 wicks. So when you have Goose Creek kind of stepping it up and achieving a look that is a lot closer to Bath & Body Works, I just think that Kringle is kind of being left behind with this thing. Also, there are just like little, from where it's been printed, again, just little like blips here at the end. It adds a level of cheapness to the jar that I don't love. And I would say that 9 times out of 10, the design that they use for these 3 wicks are kind of on the tacky side. Like they look a little like CVS-ish, if you know what I mean. And even CVS candles are actually starting to step it up as well. The only company that's not obviously stepping it up is Yankee. So So Yankee and Kringle are kind of there, and probably Kringle is better than Yankee because Yankee is really bringing up the rear when it comes to aesthetics, especially on their new 3-wick. They can't quite figure out what to do with those. And I really think Yankee, if you're watching, which you're probably not, Yankee, you do the colored wax is great. Stick with a colored wax and just do your clip art. Just don't do it all over the jar. But you know how you used to do the nice little centered clip art with the modern apothecaries? Just do that. It would be 100 times better than what it is that you're trying to do right now. All right, close parentheses with Yankee. I do think that Kringle and Yankee need to kind of step it up with their 3 wicks. Okay, so aesthetics aside, Sage and Palo Santo came out, I believe, in their new spring candle rotation for this year, 2024, which wasn't a great, it wasn't a good release. It wasn't. By the way, fall has just dropped, or it's about to drop. The brand ambassadors have the candles now, so we kind of have a sense of what the new fall collection is like. I think that it's better than last year, but I think only marginally. And thank God the colors are better though, and the colored waxes, thank God. I'm really grateful for that because last year it was like 50 shades of brown. This year they did a much better job providing like really nice colors and some diversity in that respect. Like I said, I'm not impressed with the lineup, but have I seen worse? Yes. And is it better than like Yankees? Yeah, I think so. Again, Kringle and Yankee kind of bringing up the rear a little bit, and it's not good. I really think that Kringle can and has done better than they have the last couple years. But, you know, to some extent, a lot of candle companies are struggling right now. Even Bath & Body Works has not really had that great of a year. So there's that. I don't want to seem as though I'm just like piling on here with Kringle. So this was in their spring lineup, and Sage and Palo Santo, I kind of feel as though they set this candle up to fail, and then it did. And then that's what happened. There are a couple things with this. First of all, this candle should not have been released in the spring. And it was released in the spring, and there weren't that many people who wanted to buy it, and those that did thought that it should have been marketed for the fall, and that is in fact correct. So it failed on that level. It was just kind of mistimed, I think, and mismarketed. And then the second way that it failed, set up to fail, was that they basically were just mimicking Bath & Body Works, who has a very successful candle, Palo Santo and Sage, and they just kind of reversed Sage and Palo Santo. Frankly, their Palo Santo note across the board for Bath & Body Works has become kind of a thing. And there are many companies that are mimicking. And we've had kind of a Palo Santo moment kind of with a lot of, especially the bougier companies over the last couple of years. So definitely it's smart for Kringle to get in on that, but calling it basically the same thing as the Bath & Body Works candle and connecting Sage and Palo Santo in such an obvious way just invites comparisons. And unfortunately, the Kringle's candle just did not even come close to the grandeur of Bath & Body Works. So they kind of set it up to fail in that regard too. If they had marketed it in a different way and not invited that comparison, we might have been able to judge it a little bit more fairly on its own terms. Not a good move from a marketing standpoint. So in that sense, it would have had to have been kind of like a really miraculous candle to have overcome those two like fails, and didn't, and was not able to, therefore it is a fail. Also, it was a fail in terms of strength and throw, which we're gonna talk about in a second. So there's that. Let's talk about the seasonality first. So they do have a very long scent story blurb here, and sometimes they don't have blurbs, sometimes they do. This one they do, and actually, it's a very professional, if wordy, blurb. It's nice. Sometimes their blurbs are a little on the janky side. This one is not. So their blurb is, let the harmonious blend of Sage and Palo Santo create a serene sanctuary where freshness of citrus and the soothing scent of lavender and jasmine guide you to a tranquil space wrapped in amber, musk, and woody notes that exude deep-rooted calm and balance. Okay, so thoughtful and thorough. So I think what they were going for here with the notes, which is understandable, with sage and Palo Santo, a sanctuary, freshness, centering, calm, balance, tranquil, etc. They were marketing this for the spring as a spa scent, and perhaps even as kind of a desert spa scent, which is smart. That's the way that you do kind of a woody, more masculine kind of candle in the early spring, definitely, or at any time, actually. Obviously, Yankee Candle came out with their Under the Desert Sun this year that was very successful in January. And I've said, there is an escapist genre that you can go to in winter and early spring. You want to go to a hot weather clime. You can do that in the tropics. That's where Bath & Body Works does their escapist moment. Or you can do that in a desert area, and which is not as often done, but you totally can. And especially if you combine it with a centering and spa kind of vibe, which a lot of people are wanting at the beginning of the year. They have new resolutions. They're trying to clear their mind, clear their space, etc. It really works well. And so I think that is obviously what Kringle was trying to invoke with this particular scent. Unfortunately, the scent is just straight up a men's cologne and is a pretty kind of heavy one. And so it just doesn't invoke spa in quite the way that they need to. For this to be a spa candle, it would need to be more stripped down, more spa-like. It would have to have a much stronger wood component and far less. You can do musk, but you can't do bergamot and citrus at the same time. Because the minute that you add the citrus with the musk, now you have just a standard and generic men's cologne profile. Now it's a men's cologne, right? And it's not even a fresh or original men's cologne. This is a very dated kind of men's cologne fragrance. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. But I would say that this kind of a fragrance maybe 10 years or 15 years ago would have been remarkable, would have been a standout, would have been brilliant, would have been unexpected. Unfortunately, now the bar for men's colognes is higher. So you can walk the aisle at CVS or at Target and smell just over-the-counter body washes, shaving creams, etc., and they will smell, or aftershave lotions, they will all smell like this, even if they're Old Spice, even if they're Dove, even if they're Method, or whatever else it is. Before you even get into the more bougie men's personal care items, just frankly, the lowest common denominator of men's products now are elevated. So this is the kind of thing that you would expect from Old Spice now. 10 or 15 years ago, it would have been considered much more premium than Axe or Old Spice. Now this is the main. So unfortunately, it's just kind of set up to fail. It is a woody. It's a wood forward men's cologne. There's no question. So I should say what the notes are. The notes are top notes. Listen to all the citrus. Citrus, bergamot, lemon, and sage. Those are your top notes. Mid notes are oregano, lavender, jasmine, interestingly, amber, musk, and woody. Although jasmine isn't that interesting because it seems like almost every candle that Kringle gives us has some amount of jasmine in it. Someone conjectured, maybe it was in the comments, that they're using jasmine a lot to kind of cover the smell of the soy. That may be the case, I don't really know, but they do use jasmine in almost every candle now, even some of their gourmands. So they've got woody adjective as a note in the base, but they don't even mention Palo Santo in the notes. It could be a Palo Santo, but frankly, it just kind of smells like a generic wood of some kind. that could be a mix of like a mahogany and a cedar, for instance. But it is wood forward, and it is warm. It's warm and dry, but it's drowned in a lot of musk and bergamot. So it's just basically swimming in cologne. Many of Yankees candles for the fall were this way. They were just kind of standard men's colognes with a very heavy amber, bergamot, musk kind of profile with some other things added into it. Some spice notes, some spruce notes, some aquatic notes, etc., etc. And you're just hoping that one of those inner notes is going to be loud enough to kind of hear itself over the standard men's cologne profile. So this is, frankly, this would be very welcome in that Yankee Candle fall lineup. It is very similar to almost all the fall candles that Yankee Candle put out this year, which is to say, not great, not brilliant, but weirdly, this one was put out in spring. So if you smell, for instance, Bath & Body Works, Palo Santo and Sage, this is a brilliant candle. Oh my gosh, this is good. This is stripped down. There's musk in it, for sure, but I would say that musk is supporting cast rather than leading lady. And there is very little bergamot in this. There's very little of that citrus on top, and therefore it doesn't immediately feel to you like a men's cologne. And actually, this has not come out as a body care item at Bath & Body Works. And believe me, if they think that they could market it as a body care item, they would, right? It's stripped down and it's much sweeter, frankly, than this candle, even with the jasmine. And it's partly because they use clary sage here. They're using clary sage, which is a much sweeter and funkier kind of sage note. That has herbal dimensions and vetiver dimensions and almost this syrupy sweetness to it. And it's lending the entire candle this like really forward, bright sweetness that otherwise would not be there, and is cutting the heaviness of the musk, for instance, and even the really unique quality of the wood. Oh man, this candle is good. You can't market a candle that invites comparisons and then put up a generic men's cologne. You just can't. And this is not a candle, given that it is a generic men's cologne, it's not a candle that you would want to burn in the spring. It's a candle that you can get away with in the fall if you like a men's cologne fragrance. One of the candle channels that I subscribe to is Kevin In and Out. I love Kevin In and Out. And he sporadically does candle content, but he is very into like personal fine fragrance, especially men's fine fragrances. And I watch all his videos, even when I'm not at all interested in fine personal fragrances, let alone all of men's fine fragrance. But he's just one of those people that I like watch, and I don't care. He could be reading the phone book. I would watch his channel. I would listen to it. He's very soothing to me, you know? Anyway, because I watch all his videos, whether I'm interested or not, I know that men's colognes, again, this is why I say first generation, second generation, third generation men's colognes. The bar for men's colognes has been elevated. And like, I remember in the spring, Kevin did like a whole video on like men's colognes that have rose in them for like February, for instance, you know? And then he did spring men's colognes with heavy floral components. Men's colognes now are just much more nuanced and much more unexpected. There was a time, and there are probably still some men out there who, with a cologne like this, which is very heavy, very woody, very musky, they would just kind of wear it year round. But men are now becoming much more sophisticated, and like, they don't wear these kinds of fragrances year round now. Even men will reserve a fragrance like this for the fall, for instance. And so all the more reason why this should not have come out in the spring. In terms of strength and oh, by the way, I do have this. I just pulled this. I bought this off of Facebook Marketplace. This is an old candle from Bath and Body Works called Power. And this was poured in 2017, so almost 10 years ago. The notes on this one are dark woods, smoked tonka, and black pepper. And this candle is very similar to this one. But again, it's 10 years old. It's 10 years old, right? It doesn't have, this one is more wood forward. So the wood note here is much louder than this one. But there's more bergamot in this Kringle one than there is here. And so in some ways, this one is still from 2017, a little bit fresher and more authentic smelling than this one. We have got to lighten up on the bergamot. We really do. And I'm speaking primarily to Kringle and to Yankee Candle. Both companies have been relying way too heavily on the standard bergamot, musk, amber kind of combination. Everything does not have to be a men's cologne. It really doesn't. Be thoughtful with the way that you use the combination of bergamot and musk. It is not to say that a good men's cologne conceptual does not have its place and cannot be brilliant, but be thoughtful. And at this point, I don't think you can just be giving us generic men's colognes with the standard formulation. But I suppose if you're going to do it, make sure that it's in fall. And that's where Yankee did it. But they gave us like 4 generic men's colognes. 4! And they only had like 6 or 7 candles for the fall release. It's not okay. This Power candle is better, or at least on par with this one. And like I said, it's almost 10 years older. So I'm not a fan of Sage and Palo Santo. I would not purchase it again. On top of it, the strength, oh, by the way, I did burn it down to the wick clips. It burned like a dream in terms of the soy formula, but that's no surprise. It just, the strength and throw is not good for me. It really wasn't. I mean, I would say at least half of the candle. So at least from the midpoint, if not higher up, I had to have it in the guest bathroom. And even in the guest bathroom, it struggled to get up to a 4 or a 5. And this is the kind of profile, fragrance profile, that should amplify. And that like a little of it goes a long way. And even with that, I was getting hardly anything from it. Now, I do, caveats apply. Almost everyone that I saw who reviewed this said that the strength and throw was very robust. So maybe I just got one that like didn't perform. I should just flag that right off. But it was in the guest bathroom the entire time, and which is fine because frankly I wanted to hate burn it, and that's where it was hate burned. And I started even just adding other candles to it because it wasn't even filling the guest bathroom space. It's a no for me. It's an absolute no at that point. Palo Santo and Sage from Bath and Body Works, I wish it was a little bit stronger, and it could stand up to being stronger because it's a much more stripped down fragrance. It's not just a heavy men's cologne, right? When you have a heavy men's cologne, you almost have to kind of worry about getting your strength and throw up past a certain point because it's just so heavy. But this one didn't even remotely get there. I don't mind putting up with some light strength and throw if you have a subtle and nuanced candle. This one was not it, and it was not giving me strength and throw. So it's an absolute no for me. I would not repurchase it, and I wouldn't even bother in the 2-wick with the disclaimer that other reviewers had a completely different experience. So God bless. And the reviews on the Kringle website seem to be pretty like good. So I don't know. Like, what do I know? maybe this was a rousing success. I just don't think it was. And I don't even think it would be a rousing success if it had been marketed for the fall, if it had not invited comparisons to the vastly more superior Palo Santo and Sage from Bath and Body Works. But yeah, that's what I've got for you. I do have a little thing too. I was just at Target yesterday, and they're having another Target Circle Week or whatever. I don't know. I guess they do this every year now. It's hard for me to tell. Anyway, there's this kind of new-ish company by a minor celebrity, as there are coming out of our ears. And it's called Frenshe. And I've been like, every time I go into Target, I like smell, there's a line and it's kind of like this more upscale, as most of them are at this point. Again, the bar has been lifted. Even these like over-the-counter products now have to be like super centering and balancing and, you know, really bougie like fragrance notes. We've just entered a different era and the bar is higher. So anyway, this is called, actually it's Being Frenshe, and I have no idea what this is. I think the celebrity in question is Ashley Tisdale. I always want to say Tinsdale, but it's Tisdale, and it's a very hard name to say randomly. Ashley, the only way that I know Ashley, wasn't Ashley in, what was that Disney High School Musical? Wasn't she in High School Musical? You know, with Zac Efron and Vanessa Hudgens way back in the day? I was thinking about it last night as I was laying in bed. I'm like, oh, I haven't seen High School Musical in so long. And wasn't that first High School Musical just like a revelation, right? I was like, I remember putting those songs on my iPod. Yes, it was an iPod back then. And I was like far older than it would have been appropriate for me to put those on my iPod, but I thought they were great songs. Anyway, I think Ashley Tisdale was in High School Musical. I don't know that she's done a whole lot since then, so I would call her a more minor celebrity, but she has this new line exclusively at Target called Being Frenshe, and many of the fragrances are really nice. There is a vanilla cashmere one, which was beautiful. I almost picked up something from that line. And also there's a solar one, you know, with like the sandalwood and the orange blossom, and like it's perfect here for the summer. Beautiful. And it has a couple different things. It has a body wash, it has a lotion. There are perfumes, and they're very reasonably priced. I think this is $30 for 2 ounces. By the way, Target is doing a brisk business right now in body sprays and dupes of higher end perfumes. Very, very good. So perfumes, and then she also has these like oils too, perfume oils that roll on. Again, very reasonably priced, like $14.95. And candles, little candles. So as you can expect, this was my favorite, Palo Santo Sage. I told you everybody's mimicking, right? So here was Palo Santo and Sage, and because of Target Circle, everything was 20% off. So I think this candle was like $10.99, and I got it for like 8 something, right? And it's like a frosted glass with an F there, single wick. Ooh, it smells good. It's very like woody and peppery. And I don't know all of the notes on it. Ooh, there's something sweet too. Here we go. Palo Santo fresh eucalyptus bark rosewood. Yeah. It's a nice candle. It's a really nice candle. It's a nice fragrance. So I got it in the body wash. And I got it in the, because they were out of the little perfume oil, I just got it in this, because with 20% off, it was like 23 bucks. And look at that, see? Isn't that nice? So it's got this thing that kind of looks like woody, and Present and Grounded Palo Santo Sage. Ooh, yes. I love it. I love it. Obviously, it's a little nichey. If your scent preferences are similar to mine, you'll probably like it. Otherwise, you won't. I do think it's sweeter than, like, if you smell this, you wouldn't immediately think it's a men's cologne. It is at least a unisexual kind of perfume, because there's a sweetness and a lightness. It's not bassy and dark, you know? Ooh. Yeah, that's nice. That's really nice. But there's a lot of fragrances like this. So anyway, I just thought I would let you guys know that it's 20% off at Target. This entire line, and you can get it online. I'll link it down below. This is at Target at least through the end of the week. All of their other body splashes, they're dupes of like the Finery. I think they have a line called Finery, and it's like all the dupes, the usual dupes of all the usual perfumes, you know. That's 20% off too. So this is the week to be hitting up your Target and smelling some things. But folks, this is what I'm talking about. And these are marketed toward women primarily. But like the bar has been lifted for these kinds of fragrances, and even fragrances that are in candle form. So I just don't think that like Kringle and Yankee can get away with fragrances like this. I just don't think so. I think the bar has been lifted. So I would like to see some better fragrances. Strength and Throw, not good. So there you go. Sage and Palo Santo from Kringle. It's a no bueno for me, but stay tuned because let's do Monday. Monday, I will drop a review of another 3-wick candle from Kringle that is much more successful on all levels. It looks stunning, it had good strength and throw, and was at least a little bit more thoughtful in terms of its fragrance, much more successful candle. So that we don't just end on a negative note for Kringle right now. So yeah, not a good fragrance today, but tune in on Monday and we'll get a much better showing from Kringle, which I love. It makes me so happy when that company does well. And this one I can at least on some level recommend. So surprise candle on Monday. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks so much. Bye.